So anyway, my name is Rich, and this is going to be the story of the battle or the skirmish of Lake Utsayantha. Very briefly stated, as the war was winding down in November of 1781, a man by the name of, I think it was not Service, another gentleman lived over in the Schoharie, and he was a loyalist captain, and he wanted to retrieve his wife and also do a raid. So they went over to the Schoharie. They had a skirmish. Some of the Romans were killed. His men got engaged with Hager's detachment and Timothy Murphy. Murphy had to beat a hasty retreat. The raiding party gathered up 50 beeves, 50 head of cattle, some horses, and they began their retreat. It was cold, wintry time of year, and they came through what's now North Blenheim, up over a road or a trail that is still in the woods, and then it came over to what we now call Route 10, but where Havrish Road and Route 10 meet is where the road forked down along the side of the west branch of the Delaware. So, shortly after the Loyalists began their withdrawal, the Patriots were in pursuit. Local men under Captain Hager, Tim Murphy, and I forget the exact number, maybe 20 or 30 men, followed briefly or shortly after by a detachment of New York levies, state troops. So the Americans had about 80 men, or I should say the Patriots had about 80 men. So the morning of the skirmish, the Americans, Patriots, come over to the intersection of Havrish Road and Route 10. They have their breakfast. They send their scouts down. They find some horses that are hobbled, and they recognize the horses, and they cut the horses loose. There's a couple of gunshots up near the marker about a mile up the road, just past the zone day camp. And the Loyalists want to bring the Patriots into an ambush. So they pull back. The Loyalists had camped in the field right over to behind us on this big broad field over here. And to the left, as you pan to the left, well, it's hidden by trees, but there's a house there from the early 1800s. But this is the campsite of the Loyalists. And they left the horses and the cattle on that land, but the Loyalists withdrew to a high piece of land. That woodlot over there on the other side of the lake, you may be able to pick out a roof line that sits on top of a small hillock overlooking the lake, and that's where the Loyalists plan their ambush. So Murphy and some other men come forward as scouts. Allegedly, when Murphy kills an Indian, that's the last American Indian he kills, allegedly, during the war, right over here in the swampy area. The Delaware and another stream meet here, and they form Lake Utsayantha. And one of the men are killed, one of the Patriots are killed. 2 men were killed that day, a Van Valkenburg and another gentleman. And the Loyalists are drawing the Patriots towards the hillock and into the ambush. And there's a brisk firefight going on. And Captain Hale is ordered by Hager. Hale is with the New York levies. Hager orders Hale to cut to the right and take them in the flank. Well, Hale doesn't do that. Instead, Hale retreats. So now you have about the 20 or so men, the exact number I don't recall. Now you have the small number of Patriots against a larger number of the enemy in ambuscade. And so Hager's men have to retreat. So they chase down Hale about 500 yards to the north of us, and Hager comes up to Captain Hale and says, "You take one more foot and I'll shoot you dead." And Tim Murphy cocks his rifle. So by the time the Americans reorganize the raiding party, they leave. They leave behind the animals, and they just beat a hasty retreat. There's a road over here. There's a house with white pillars. The original road cut over towards Harpersfield, up over the hill. And so by the time the Americans realize what's going on, the Americans decide, well, we're not going to pursue them. They've had a skirmish, they've lost a couple of men, they've recovered the animals, so they let the raiding party just withdraw and they have won the skirmish, and they head back to the Schoharie. So in essence, that's the battle, better described as a skirmish, of Lake Utsayantha.